If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call? Today we're taking a look back at my favorite movie of all time, Ghostbusters from 1984. Specifically, we're gonna be looking at the original VHS release, as evident by the text at the bottom of the back. Artwork and design 1985 RCA Columbia Pictures home video. We didn't have the sleeve to this growing up, so this is what was floating around my house by itself, but it's so iconic. I love the blue text, the RCA framing, it's just beautiful. That's a work of art right there. Let's go ahead and pop this tape in, shall we? The sound and the pictures are burned into my brain. When I see one of them, I think of the other. If I hear one, I think of the other. Now, there's an interesting thing with some of these VHS releases because they're modified for home video, they're formatted from widescreen versions, you know? So a lot of them used pan and scan technology, and I'm gonna point out some of the instances of that, as well as just things that are missing from this version of the movie, because you can't see them, they're out of frame. I gotta tell you though, just putting this in and watching it on VHS truly brings me back. Watching it on VHS is how I watched it growing up. Occasionally I would catch it on cable too, and I would watch it. Even though we had the tape, I'd still end up watching it. The thing that never occurred to me until I was an adult when I watched this was when Venkman says, "I'm studying the effects of negative reinforcement on ESP ability." It's very hilarious because that is what he's doing, and it's working for that guy. That's what's funny. His theory is correct, perhaps. This is just top form Bill Murray. Bill be billin' in this, you know what I'm saying? It's hard for me to look at this movie with any sort of fresh perspective, but for some reason, watching the VHS today, I was able to do this. Here's the first example of the pan and scan that I noticed was when the bookshelf falls behind them.
This happened to you before? Oh, first time?
And of course,
Get her!
now I'm recording this about a week before I head out to the premiere of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire with my podcast, Strange Glow Video. And I'm looking forward to seeing the library ghost again. And some of the stuff I'm pointing out, like if you're a real Ghostbusters nerd, like you might all know this already. You might be pushing up your glasses and going like, "Ooh, well, you already know this." And I would be doing the same if I was watching this video, but I feel like there's plenty of people who are not as geeky about Ghostbusters as some of us are. Here's another example of something being just out of frame that you can't see in this version of the home video release. When Dana arrives and is talking to Janine, in the widescreen version you see Peter when he pops up. In the full screen VHS version, you don't see that.
Can I help you?
I don't have an appointment. I'd like to talk to someone, please.
You hear him pop up, and then he runs into frame and jumps over the little door there. It's one of those things that I definitely did notice later on. I didn't know that it wasn't there, I just thought I didn't notice it, you know. And yet another example of something being cut out here, perhaps the most famous example. Peter's talking to the hotel manager, you know, he says, "For the entrapment, that's going to be 4 big ones." But if you watch the widescreen version, he looks over at Egon, and Egon is showing him how many thousands he needs to tell him, basically. And then he says, "And we're all, unfortunately, we're running a special this week on proton charging and storage of the beast, and that's only going to come to 1,000. But you don't see that in the VHS release.
Let's talk seriously. Now, for the entrapment, we're going to have to ask you for 4 big ones, $4,000 for that. But we are having a special this week on proton charging and storage of the beast, and that's only going to come to $1,000, fortunately.
$5,000? I had no idea it'd be so much. I won't pay it.
That's something we all think for a while, we all thought we just had noticed it later till some of us went back and started watching the VHS and we realized, I think it's commonly accepted now, and then you get a ghost busting montage. And again, stuff gets cut kind of weird here. When the magazines are flying across the screens, in this version, they're pan and scanning and showing what they need to. So the magazines flow kind of weird and different. They don't fly on a screen and stay on one angle while you're looking at another picture here. Instead, they pan and scan. So often you see like the very edge of the magazine just like hanging out on the edge of frame. Who could forget Winston, you know? I'm stoked. Welcome aboard. There's something about these effects and watching them on VHS that makes them really work for me. It looks old, it feels old, it existed a little bit before me, so Mayor's office scene, obviously iconic. Again, Frozen Empire, Walter Peck is back. What capacity, we don't know for sure, but stoked to find out.
Get him out
next
of here.
week.
Bye. I'll fix you, Venkman. I'm gonna fix you. I'm gonna get you a nice fruit basket. I'm gonna miss him.
I don't know. I love this movie so much. When I'm watching this, all of the visuals at the end here, like, this is the perfect movie. I don't care. All the imperfections are perfect. I would not change a single thing about this movie, except maybe Venkman just casually having Thorazine on him. She's gonna take a little nap now. Or, okay. Gozer, the drawn lightning. I found myself genuinely, when Stay Puft was showing up, I was excited. I was bouncing up and down in my seat. I was like a child. And I think this is maybe my favorite movie scene of all time. The spawning and walking down the street of Stay Puft and the Ghostbusters responding. And so as we talk about the ending of this movie and where it goes, Ghostbusters 2, which depends on who you talk to. Again, if you're talking to one of these Ghostbuster freaks like myself, we all love Ghostbusters 2. Some of us see the flaws in it, some of us don't care about the flaws and we blindly ignore that, and that's fine too. And then there's various opinions about the other ones. We're gonna have 5 Ghostbusters movies. If you're a Ghostbusters fan at all, I feel like you should be excited about this. Be sure to like and subscribe. In the next couple weeks, I'll have plenty of coverage of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire over on Strange Glow Video. Maybe one video on this channel. Thanks for watching.